All right, guys, cool. The Scream 6 teaser trailer dropped today. This was actually my most anticipated movie going into 2023, so needless to say, I was very excited to see this. I don't normally report on news, but I really did want to make a video about this and give you guys my thoughts. I was actually going to put a video out earlier today, but I was battling a sore throat and a fever most of the morning and even a little bit into the afternoon, but I'm feeling better now, so here it is, better late than never, right? Let's get into it. Guys, this teaser was perfect for me. I mean, it gave me everything I wanted to see while telling me absolutely nothing at all. And it gave me just enough to be super pumped about this movie. And generally, I'm the guy that likes the trailers to be as loaded as possible. Like, I get that I'm in the minority here, but unlike most people, I enjoy spoilers. I like to dig in and get as many spoilers as possible. I'm seriously the guy who can read the entire script for a new movie before I ever see it, and it makes me even more pumped to see it because now I can't wait to see how it's executed on screen. But I understand that I'm in the minority with that, so I respect other people and I don't go spoiling the movie for other people. Ever. And I can't stand it when people do that. It's incredibly disrespectful. But with the Scream movies, it's a little different for me because of the subject matter of these movies. Every single movie is a whodunit. It's like one big Scooby-Doo mystery in every movie. So I actually avoid spoilers with these movies altogether. I mean, when big news drops, I know about that, like the Neve Campbell controversy that happened a couple months ago. And I knew that it was going to be set in New York. But outside of that, I really don't know much of anything about this movie, and unlike most fans, I don't keep my finger on the pulse of this community for that reason. I like to go into these movies as surprised as absolutely possible because I believe that's what makes these movies so fun. That's what sets them apart from other slasher movies, because without that whodunit element, they're just another slasher movie. Yeah, they're fun, they're good. I mean, I think they would still be good with the mystery removed because they are quality made movies on even a technical level. But I mean, that is what makes Scream so fun, if you ask me. And I think most people would agree with that. So I stay away from news reporting channels on this particular franchise. But anyways, back to my thoughts here. When I found out this movie was going to take place in New York, that got me very excited, guys, because if executed correctly, New York, like the city of New York, in and of itself could be its own character in this movie. There's that much potential bringing the Big Apple into it. I mean, when you're dealing with a city that massive, with that many people, with the amount of crime that already takes place on the streets of New York and in the subways of New York on a daily basis, you add that kind of paranoia and hysteria on top of whatever mystery they're already going to throw into this for our characters, and you have potentially, depending on how they handle this, one of, if not the most intense and fun Scream movie that we've ever seen. And I'll be honest, based on what I've seen from Radio Silence, I think they have it in them to pull it off. I think if anybody can pull it off, they can. I mean, when Ready or Not came out, that was one of the, if not the best movies I've seen that entire year. That movie was such a blast. Well written, well acted, just a great movie. And then Scream 5 came out, and, you know, I didn't think it was a game changer. It was nothing crazy, but I don't think they were trying to make it anything crazy. I think they were trying to just make a straight, run-of-the-mill Scream movie. They were probably thinking, okay, it's been 10 years since we've had a Scream movie. Let's reintroduce Haddonfield. Let's bring some new characters into the mix. Let's do something that's kind of familiar to our audience and our fan base, just to show everybody that we can handle the source material competently. And then after we've established these new characters, and the next movie will move forward and we'll show everybody what we can do. And I think that's what they're doing here. I think that's why they made such a big leap, because let's face it, with any long-running franchise that has a committed fan base, anytime you veer off the beaten path, you risk losing your audience. Sometimes being adventurous pays off, but sometimes it doesn't. I mean, look at Scream 3. They went off the beaten path and they took it to Hollywood, and that movie was not received very well at all. Now, granted, anybody who has seen that movie knows that it didn't fail because they took it out of Woodsboro. I'm just saying that scares filmmakers moving forward. Anytime a movie plays around and does something different and it flops, like, let's face it, Scream 3 didn't really flop. I mean, not when you compare it to like the low points of other franchises, but for the Scream franchise, it was mostly considered a flop with the fan base. I personally liked it, but I do hear the complaints for it, and I mostly agree with them. They just don't bother me or offend me as badly as they do a lot of other people, but I digress. There's a reason Scream 4 went back to formula, and there's a reason Scream 5 went back to formula. Like I said, Radio Silence said, okay, we're going to play it safe in part 5, but in part 6, if we get greenlit and part 5 does good, we're going to take it there. We're going to take some risk, and that's what it looks like they're doing, and I'm excited to see this because taking this story to New York opens so many doors and adds so many more layers of potential to the lore of these movies and these characters. So I'm excited because, like I said, I think they can do it. I think they can pull it off, guys. I really do. And one thing that I did hear they were doing is they're bringing back Kirby, and I'm really curious to see how they're going to utilize her character, how she's going to fit in with these new batch of survivors, and how she's going to end up in New York. I mean, taking this story out of Woodsboro like this is a great decision in my opinion, but it's definitely going to require some imagination and good storytelling to make it all make sense and make it believable that all these characters are going to end up together. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I don't know what the story is going to look like, but I do hope they do not waste her character. Of all the characters that are in this movie and the ones that are coming back, she is the one more than anyone else that I hope they don't waste, because fans have been wanting Kirby back since Scream 4. I mean, everybody hated that she supposedly died, and you had a lot of people that were speculating that she survived, and lo and behold, they were right. I mean, we got that confirmation in Scream 5 and that little Easter egg, which was awesome. I seen it, and I thought it was awesome. I was so stoked because I was like, they didn't just do that for nothing. They're using her somewhere. Maybe not in this movie, but she's coming back, and sure enough, she is. I just hope they don't waste her character, guys. Honestly, a lot of people I've seen have speculated she might be the opening kill, and I don't want to see that. I do not want them to bring her back just to kill her in 15 minutes. I don't even really care if she dies, as long as it's not the opening kill. And if they do use her in the opening kill, they better seriously knock my socks off with it, because that girl deserves to live. I mean, everything she went through in Scream 4, and she is such a good addition to these movies. She is maybe not quite on the level that Randy was, but she brings that Randy-esque essence back to the franchise, as well as making it her own role. But if you ask me, I personally believe that another role of Kirby in this movie is going to be to fill a Sydney-sized hole in our hearts. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to utilize her as a Sydney substitute in this movie. I really do. She's going to be the legacy character. She's going to be the OG. She's going to be the one that's been there, done that. She's seen it. She's going to help these new characters. Yeah, they survived the events of part 5, but I think they're going to look to her for like guidance and even wisdom. They're going to be like, hey, you survived this. I mean, we all survived this, but you really survived this. What the hell do we do? And another thing I seriously hope they don't do, and I don't really think they're going to do this, but I really don't want them to make her the killer. Like, I don't want the big reveal at the end of this movie to be that, oh, Kirby was pulling the strings all along. And, you know, kind of like I said about if they make her the intro kill, it really does all come down to execution. I mean, they could do it. That could be what they do, and they could just execute everything so perfectly that I fall in love with the concept, and this could be my favorite movie out of the whole bunch. Who knows? But just right off the top of my head, thinking about it, I don't want her to be the killer. I think if that's not handled with delicacy, that could be disrespectful to her character. And again, why bring her back after all these years with the loyal fan base she has just to disrespect her character? That wouldn't look good, and that's why I don't think they're going to do that, but who knows? You never know what they're going to do. And on the topic of legacy characters coming back and being the ones that, oh my God, they were the ones pulling the strings all along, I know that there is a very loyal and committed portion of this fan base that truly not only wants, but believes that Stu Macher is coming back, and that he's been the one behind the scenes orchestrating everything and puppeteering everything since part 4. But guys, just like I've been saying about everything else in this video, it all comes down to execution. I do not want them bringing Stu back just for the sake of bringing Stu back. Yeah, there will be some immediate satisfaction with that, but if that's not handled very well and they don't write him into the story in a way that has some long-term satisfaction and in a way that makes total sense to the narrative, I truly believe that could be a catastrophe for the reception of this movie. I really do. So if they do bring him back, if you people that are speculating on this are right, if your prognostications are correct, all I can say is I hope they have some seriously good ideas up their sleeve. Because Stu is a very beloved character, just like Kirby, but even more so. So if you mishandle his character and it falls flat on its face, you're going to have a lot of pissed off fans. They're going to be like, so you took a franchise that we love and a character that we love and you left that kind of a stain on his legacy. Yeah, you're going to have another Halloween Ends situation on your hands. And for a lot of fans, that may be an unforgivable sin and they may just completely check out of this new radio silence era of Scream movies altogether. But on the topic of the handling of legacy characters, is anyone else glad that Sidney Prescott, aka Neve Campbell, is not coming back to this movie? I mean, I'll be honest with you. There was a big part of me that really felt like they should have stopped making Scream movies when Wes Craven died. I mean, really, they probably should have stopped after 3. I mean, the story was told. Neve Campbell's story was told. They closed her chapter out in that book, and I think they closed it out pretty nicely. I mean, yeah, Scream 3 has its problems, but I still think it was a nice end to her story arc and her character arc. But then they did Scream 4, which I loved. It actually became my favorite sequel. And I don't know if that's a hot take. I really don't. Again, I don't keep my finger on the pulse of this community, so I don't really know how the fans rank these movies or even how general audiences rank these movies. But Part 4 is my favorite sequel. And then Scream 3, actually. Scream 2 is actually my least favorite sequel. And I like all these movies. I don't think there's a single bad one, so don't take the number placement to heart. But Scream 2 is my least favorite. But I saw Scream 4, and I loved it. I was like, this is the best Scream formula we've seen since the original Scream. I thought it was done almost perfectly. I loved it. But I wouldn't say that was necessarily the best ending for the character of Sidney Prescott. But then we get Scream 5. And I thought that was. She came back for one last shebang. And along with Courtney Cox, you know, we lost Dewey, poor guy. I was glad they did that. I was glad that I was glad that they had the balls to do that. Let me just say that. I don't know that I overly like how they killed him, but I appreciated and respected that they did it. But I thought it was a good close for the characters of not only Sidney, but even Gail. I know they're bringing Gail back, but I don't know to what extent. I don't know how they're going to utilize her character, how important she's going to be to the overall narrative being told here. I would imagine she's probably pretty important. I mean, in Scream 5, they let us know that she lives in New York City. I mean, that's where she's been all this time. So she's probably going to be pretty important to the plot, but I just don't know yet. But as far as we know right now, Sidney's out of the picture, and I'm happy about that. I mean, how many times can you keep coming up with and forcing reasons for her character to keep running into these problems? I mean, you already kind of have to suspend your disbelief that there's this many problems like this in one little town to begin with. But then when you keep coming back and saying that it revolves around this one character each time, that requires even a bigger suspension of disbelief. So I'm glad she's out of the picture. They told her story. It's over. Move on. I'd rather they just completely, have ended these movies altogether. But if they are going to continue, go a different avenue. Take a different direction. Radio Silence came in. They made a pretty good movie. They introduced us to these new characters, which I feel were pretty solid characters. So now take these characters, have faith in them, have faith in the new lore that you've built within this Scream universe, and take off with it. Just tell a good story. Give us compelling characters, which you already have, and just give us a good freaking Scream movie. But that's all I have to say on this, guys. You know the drill. Like and share this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.